Hey guys, this is Lisa from NYC Gal Out. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, so we are talking Beverly Hills today, but guys, before we get started, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, leave me a comment, all that good jazz. If you guys are listening on the podcast, don't forget to leave a rating. And guys, it's a free way to help out not just me, but your favorite content creators. It is a great free way to support us. And also, I say this all the time, guys, if you're already listening to the podcast and if you're already viewing the videos, you might as well just follow and subscribe anyway. Okay, we are going to get into it. We're talking Beverly Hills. So I don't know what was going on with Kyle's weed dinner, but OMG. Like, Denise Richard she was on something, and I don't think it was on. She was definitely on something, and I don't think it was weed. You had Garcelle saying that she was slurring her words. You have Erica Jane going, I was high, but I don't know what the fuck Denise was on. She was on another level. You have Dorit saying something like, you know, whatever she's on, I probably want some of that. Production, the editing team did not do her any favor. Poor little homegirl, she had her pink fur coat on, and girl, she came in with it wearing it correctly, but then she sat down, and then when they got back up, she put it on upside down. And Dorit, she was trying to do her a favor and say, I think your coat is on upside down. And she's like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Stop. Don't do it. I know what you're doing. I mean, even Kyle was like, I don't know, maybe she got high on her way over here. Yeah, maybe she did a little something before she had on over to Kyle's Dinner from Hell 2.0. But you know what was really interesting is all the cameo appearances that we are seeing. I just thought it was like crazy that they're having all these cameos. They had Faye, they had Camille, they had Denise, they had they even went all the way down to freaking Atlanta and flew Cynthia Bailey in. Okay, they probably didn't flew her in, but like, they went all the way freaking down to Atlanta to get Cynthia Bailey. And I feel like they're doing this because Lisa Rinna was such a huge presence on Beverly Hills. And now that she's gone, I feel like the executives are worried that the ratings are going to plummet. So they're bringing in all these big names. And I mean, like, they even brought in somebody else from a different franchise. A different housewife franchise. A lot of people feel a certain way about Erica Jane because of the whole Tom Girardi nonsense. I believe Erica when she says she didn't know what was going on. The reason why I believe Erica is that how come we are giving grace to these mob wives that come on to do documentaries or do interviews or do like movies based on their lives saying, I didn't know, I lived in a bubble, you know, I was a housewife or I was a trophy wife, or, you know, my husband took care of me. He bought me everything. He bought me nice things. He took me away from like some poor ass life that I was living, and he gave me glam, he gave me jewelry, he gave me dazzle and bedazzle and whatever. So how can we give grace to those kind of housewives, the mob wives, that when they say, I didn't know my husband killed 50 guys. I didn't know my husband was robbing banks. I didn't know my husband like beat up like a whole entire family and burned a house down and whatever else, and now he's sitting in federal prison. So why do we give grace to mob wives? But somebody like Erica is like, oh, she should have known better. How should she have known better? This is somebody with a high school education who in her 20s married a guy who was old enough to be her father. She was looking for a sugar daddy. She got a sugar daddy. She got married, and she had the lifestyle that she wanted with all the money involved. I don't think she cared where the money came from. And look, I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but I don't think she cared where the money came from. So I don't think she was like, oh, where's your money coming from? Plus, he was a lawyer. He was like a legit lawyer, and he had connections and status in that world. And it wasn't even like I mean, obviously it is a corrupt world, but to her, you know, I could see it from her perspective where she didn't think there was anything wrong with where the money came from because this man is like some very prestigious powerhouse lawyer. So why would she question that money? And marrying a sugar daddy and saying that she didn't know that there was funny business going on that was not legit. That's not believable. I mean, it's not like she's saying she was some Harvard physicist with a PhD or something. So I don't understand like where the disconnect is. Look, Erica, she did have a federal investigation on her. That didn't go anywhere. The feds investigated her. They investigated Tom Girardi. They investigated his business associates. They investigated his partners. And they also investigated his wife. They did not have enough to bring anything against her. And trust me, the feds have the resources where if they felt that there was enough to take it to trial and win, she would have had a federal indictment. There was not enough for the feds to bring against her. She has civil stuff going on, you know, with like lawsuits and whatever, but the feds did not have anything against her, and they investigated. So it's like, you know, I think where she comes off and where it's hard for people to be sympathetic to her is because she is a very cold person. I mean, even in like this season, the first episode is her going to her therapist saying, how do I have empathy? Like, girl, I know you got rid of your publicist, Jack, and you got like some new woman, Alexis, or whatever her name is, as your publicist, but I think she should kind of rehearse you a little bit on how you present yourself, even on a reality show like The Real Housewives, because she is not coming off very sympathetic. Just because somebody is genuinely an asshole or a cold person doesn't mean they're guilty of something, right? So like if I am just like an asshole, that doesn't mean that I am a thief or that I go and steal stuff. So you can still be an asshole and not be guilty of committing crimes. So I think that is like where the disconnect is, that people automatically assume that, well, she's an asshole, she's a bitch, like she's coming on saying that she doesn't give a fuck about the victims. She probably is a narcissist. They're all narcissists, but some hide it better than others. And look, I think that's what hurts her, is that she doesn't appear empathetic. But just because she puts herself before the victims, it doesn't mean she's guilty of it. But look, she's a narcissist. I say this about all the fucking housewives. They're all narcissists. Andy Cohen is a narcissist. Andy Cohen is a fucking narcissist. But again, some people hide it better than others. But I think with Erica, she wants to come off as authentic on this reality show. And because she wants to come off as authentic, she's showing her true self. So she's not hiding her narcissism as good as other housewives are. She's just going on there and saying, I don't give a fuck. So, but we're not going to be hearing about Erica's legal troubles this season. That has been pretty clear. We're already in like the 7th episode, and it's been very clear where the direction is heading. There is some sort of beef between Sutton and Kyle, which I really do not care about, but that is what it's going to be focused on. And of course on Kyle and Mauricio's separation, and then there's trouble in paradise between Dorit and PK, and we're going to also see Anne-Marie. We finally saw her last week. That was when she finally made her appearance, and it was all the way at the end of the episode. And it's not even something scandalous, because we see producers and the network do this a lot. When the season is wrapped and when the footages get edited into the season, that is when really they make their decision. I don't care if they have contracts. I don't care who was filming. In every single contract, there is a stipulation that the network has ultimate say, that your contract is not set in stone. Your contract basically says that if we decide to whatever, then yes, you have to, this is your pay, this is what you're getting paid, this is what your requirements are and stuff like that. But there is always a stipulation in those contracts that says that this contract can be voided by the network at any given moment, whenever they decide. So we've seen that happen a lot. I call it pulling a Tracy Johnson. And if you guys don't follow New Jersey or don't watch New Jersey, I don't even feel like explaining who Tracy Johnson is. But if you guys watch my videos and if you guys listen to me on the pod, then you know what pulling a Tracy Johnson is. But anyway, so that was really interesting. Denise was high as fuck. Even the chef that was cooking the weed was like, Denise Richard is fucked up. Even the chef knew she was high. I was cringing for her. Especially that scene with her and Dorit with the whole coat. Girl, your coat was upside down. And she kept on saying, I know what you're doing. Okay, I know. And she's like, I know what you're doing. I think she felt like Dorit was trying to set her up to make her embarrassed or something. But again, some of these drugs, they make you really paranoid. We saw a cameo from Kim. So towards the last 5 minutes of the episode, Dorit and Kyle and Kim, they all meet up to go on a hike or something. And, it was kind of sad. I think a lot of the ladies are making cameo appearances because Lisa Rinna is no longer on the cast. I'm sure the network and the producers asked them to come back, and probably one of the selling point was, oh, Lisa Rinna's no longer here, come back, because we know that Kim, she didn't really have a good relationship with Rinna. So it was kind of sad when Kyle and Kim were talking, and Kim said that she saw Paris' son Phoenix, and Kyle said she hadn't seen Phoenix yet. And then you saw in the kitchen table when Kyle was talking with her daughters, and she had asked them if they seen Paris, and they said no. And Kyle said, I want the children to be as close as, we were when we were growing up, and all this other stuff. So that is sad. Of course, this was all filmed way earlier in the year, and now everybody's made up, and they probably made up because Kyle and Mauricio are separated. So it's no secret that the Hilton family does not like Mauricio because of bad business dealings between him and Rick Hilton. And I feel now that Mauricio is somewhat out of the picture, they are more willing to accept Kyle back into the fold. I don't give a fuck about Kathy Hilton's Christmas parties, but Sutton's the type of person that she does care about it. And in this town, Kathy Hilton has the power to shut you out. And I kind of felt I'm not going to say that Sutton is a lackey, but in that scene when Kyle was like, why don't you tell everybody about Kathy yelling at you? And Sutton was like, yes, Kathy did call me and she was upset and she was yelling at me on the phone. I might not yell back, but I'm definitely not going to stay on the phone to listen to you yelling at me. I would just hang up the phone. I would just be like, all right, you're yelling at me, I'm hanging up, bye. And I would just click, you're going to hear the dial tone. The fact that Sutton is telling me that like Kathy is her friend and that like she's on the phone yelling at her, you're a middle-aged woman with grown children, like to allow another woman to yell at you like that. Like I'm not saying she had to yell back at Kathy, but like no, at least hang up on her. Like don't just listen to that phone call of somebody berating you. Like that is like ridiculous. And I felt kind of bad for Sutton at that moment. And look, I'm not a fan of Sutton. I think she's like a little cuckoo, but at that scene, I felt really bad for Sutton. And I feel like since the filming of that episode, Kathy and Kyle were not in a good place. So that gave Sutton like the courage to act a certain way towards Kyle, because it's kind of like a coward. I do think Sutton is a coward, because a coward would not act like a coward would never be confrontational or would never like address you or stand up to you. They will only find their voice, or they will only find whatever strength they have if there is somebody bigger and more powerful in their corner. So Kathy and Kyle, they're not in a good place, and I feel like now Sutton feels like she could stand up to Kyle, or she could push back on Kyle because she has somebody bigger and powerful in her corner. But again, that's a coward. Like she's giving me coward vibes, and I think that's why I like Erica so much, because I feel like Erica is like such a strong person. She has a strong personality. That whole entire dinner was very weird, but the whole entire freaking episode was based on that damn dinner. And then, you know, again, we had the last 5 minutes where Kim met up with Dorit and Kyle. We also had a very small scene with Dorit and PK, where Dorit wants to continue to homeschool, and PK's like, absolutely not. They actually go to public school. I mean, I guess public school in Beverly Hills is probably really nice, but I'm just surprised. I would imagine that they went to private school. But anyway, they're in like one of the most richest zip code in the country, so I'm sure public school in their zip code is very nice. But Dorit is saying that she doesn't want the kids to go back to school. She wants to continue homeschooling them. So that took up about 5 minutes of our screen time. And then we also see a lunch with, you know, the other ladies and Denise Richards. And when I say the other ladies, I mean like, you know, Crystal, Sutton, Garcelle, and that was all the ladies, and Denise Richards. And you know, they were asking like, what the fuck were you trying to say? Like, what were you trying to like say at the dinner party? And according to Denise, she was saying that it was at a dinner party where Erica was talking about threesomes and all this other stuff, and her kids were at a table behind her. I don't even think it was that big of a deal. I think that Denise was trying to make something. I think Denise was trying to make something for the cameras. I think she was just high and she had to like wing it, and that was what she came up with at the dinner party. Like she wanted to have conversation. She wanted to have confrontation with Erica, so that was what she came up with at the dinner party. And then when she realized how ridiculous she was acting, she pulled the first thing that she could out of her memory bank, and that was what she used at the luncheon to explain herself, to explain what the fuck she was talking about. But I didn't think it was that serious. I think she made it into something that it wasn't. And then we also have Anne-Marie and Kyle meeting up to like play a game of bong ball. No, pickleball. They were playing pickleball, right? What the hell were they? I said bong ball. They were playing pickleball. And, you know, so Anne-Marie is very athletic, and she says she is a nurse anesthesiologist, right? So she's very familiar with like, you know, the esophagus and like all that other stuff, because when Kyle has said that Sutton doesn't eat, Sutton said something like her esophagus is really small and all this other stuff. I don't know what the hell Sutton is saying. Maybe Sutton's like some sort of hypochondriac. I don't know. She's a vegetarian that doesn't eat bacon. She's like so offended by Magic Mike, but she pulled out a joint to smoke weed. Oh, by the way, that's so, okay, if you guys have been watching Beverly Hills from the jump, then you guys know that the first dinner from hell was with that psychic medium, Alison Dubois, and then she was like being all cray-cray, and then at the end she pulled out like an electronic cigarette. Okay, so the Alison Dubois of this dinner from hell 2.0 was Denise Richards, and then the electronic cigarette puffing on screen was basically Sutton Strat pulling a joint out and smoking a joint. I mean, they were really trying to recreate it, and I kind of feel like, okay, what's going on, production? Are you guys being lazy? The dinner was like about 30 minutes, and then you got like full of scenes with the other stuff. I'm interested to know what you guys think of Denise's comeback, or her, is it a comeback? I don't even know what to call it.